Welcome to the Lightning Hour, an inspirational energy drink for your mind. 3 hosts, 3 actors, 3 friends, 3 perspectives, and fantastic guests every Friday at noon. I'm your host, Rachelle Henry.
I'm your host, Rico E Anderson.
And I'm your host, Sasha Kerbel.
Prepare yourself for high voltage conversation.
And get ready to supercharge your brain.
Because it's time for the Lightning Hour.
It's the season when people start thinking about getting together with family and friends, and we've chosen one of those families today. A family that I am proud to be a part of. We have the director and leading cast of My Summer as a Goth here today. My Summer as a Goth is a coming-of-age story about the sometimes painful, often entertaining search for identity and love in adolescence. After the death of her father, 16-year-old Joey Javits is sent to stay with her eccentric grandparents while her author mother promotes her latest novel.
Joey promptly falls for the beguiling goth boy next door, Victor, and is transformed by him and his band of misfits in black. Set in present-day Portland, Oregon, My Summer as a Goth navigates Joey's relationship with her new friends, her family, and herself, and will resonate with anyone who survived the social alienation of adolescence and that first summer heartbreak.
Co-written, produced, and directed by Tara Johnson Medinger, this indie film has been the darling of the festival circuit and is now available on digital platforms such as Amazon Prime, iTunes, Vudu, Fandango Now, Google Play In Demand, and more, and can be seen in US, Canada, UK, Ireland, Australia, Malaysia, Singapore, and Russia. And in fact, in Russia, I read it, the film got a lot of rave reviews.
Tara Johnson Medinger is an American film director, producer, and the executive director of the POW Film Festival, also known as the Portland, Oregon Women's Film Festival, and the POW Girls Educational Program. She is a champion for gender equality in the entertainment industry, co-producer of the award-winning music documentary The Winding Stream and feature film City Baby. Her feature film directorial debut, My Summer as a Goth, just released November 11th, 2020.
Natalie Shershow is an award-winning Mexican-American actor from Portland, Oregon, and is currently residing in New York City. Her credits include TNT's Leverage, Netflix's American Vandal, Underserved, Adventures in Adulting, and the feature film Sophie Jones. Natalie can be seen as the leading character Joey in My Summer as a Goth.
Carter Scotland Allen made his acting debut as Cobb. He's a film editor and director of photography, currently finishing film school at Central Washington University.
Eduardo Reyes is a Mexican-American actor that is known for his roles in Woodstock or Bust, A Hunting May We Go, Alien Encounters, and is best known for his supporting role as Antonio in My Summer as a Goth.
Jenny White stars in the role of Pam. She's credited for a dancing role in the Oscar-nominated animated feature film Box Trolls and danced with the School of Oregon Ballet Theater for 13 years. She's studying communication studies with a French and dance double minor at Loyola Marymount University.
And Rachelle Henry, an award-winning actress, director, producer, writer, host, and our dear sister. Some of her credits include TLC's Escaping the Prophet, YouTube's Soma Transmissions, A24's Leggies, Woodstock or Bust, Wallflower, Reverie TV's Mendy, Losing It, Creased, and the upcoming feature film Martingale. One of her favorite roles is playing Molly, Joey's best friend, in My Summer as a Goth. Tara Johnson Medinger will be here right after we see the trailer for My Summer as a Goth.
This is how I remember my summer as a goth. The best day of school is the last day of school.
You guys joining the other kids for the big tailgater?
Yeah, I'm not really in the mood for date rape tonight.
Okay, well, have a great summer.
Too dark.
Well, does your family still go to Sun River every summer?
We probably won't make it.
So you're just gonna hang out with your pops then? Shut up, Shelly.
I'm the girl whose dad died. Remember?
Joey, stop that.
Dad would have thought that was funny.
I'm at a loss.
Don't worry, we'll take good care of her.
So, Joey, you have a boyfriend?
Good afternoon, Roy.
Hello, Joseph. Hello, Margaret.
Hi.
Is that your granddaughter?
Stuck with us all summer.
Victor's back with us again. Who knows how long this time?
Why don't you jump on my bike and tear through the neighborhood?
I'm sorry I scared you. Wait.
Okay, I know what I saw.
I was just doing one of my performance pieces.
For who?
Oh, for myself.
I met a boy. Victor and I thought that it would be fun to hang out.
Everyone, have you met my new friend Joey? You're really sweet. It's time to freshen things up a little bit.
Will this help?
Pen, Cobb, emergency makeover. Your whole life is about to change.
You look like the bride of Frankenstein.
There's no going back now, right?
You look like a couple of dead honeymooners. Thank you. You guys going to a funeral?
We're off to a party, you guys.
Who is he? I mean, he has to be a good kiss for me.
You are really out of control, you know that?
Should we be worried?
They're teenagers. Yes.
Can't we just stay in this cemetery forever?
Wow, maybe you are a real goth.
What am I gonna do about this new phase, you guys?
You have no idea how much pressure it is to be 16.
Accept her for who she is.
Such an idiot.
Don't let some guy tell you who you are.
I turned you into something almost interesting.
You have to decide for yourself who you are.
This is how I will always remember my summer as a goth. Who would have guessed?
Well, Tara, thank you so much for being here today. Some of our leading cast will be joining us really soon, and we are so excited to talk everything My Summer as a Goth, because, it's so much fun to go back and look on the project. So you wrote My Summer as a Goth. You co-wrote it with your high school best friend, Brandon Lee Roberts, and it's loosely based on your own teen goth adventures. So how did My Summer as a Goth come about? And how long did it take from that first draft to now having it out on streaming platforms across the world?
Wow. So I could talk for hours on this particular topic, but I'll give you the shorter version. So in 2009, Brandon came to me. We grew up in the 80s in Salem, Oregon. So we're high school best friends. He wrote the first version of My Summer as a Goth in 2009 and handed me the script. I fell in love with it. It was something I knew that I wanted to be a part of. And over the years, we co-wrote it. So we kind of refined the story. A lot of it is based on our high school experience, coming of age in Salem, hanging out with all the mall rats and all the wearers of black downtown, drinking coffee, smoking closed cigarettes. We all just kind of found each other, right? And I think that both Brandon and I have had our time as a goth and, alternative. And so this particular film and story was near and dear to our own experience growing up. And we wanted to make sure that we looked at that genre, that coming of age genre, and really take a moment to update it, to refresh it for today's youth. So we wanted to make it feel current and relevant, because those coming of age stories that we love, like all those John Hughes films, they're, if you look at them through today's lens, there's a lot of problems with them. And we wanted that experience of being authentic to the teenage experience to remain there, but we also wanted to be more reflective of what's happening today. And so through that process, it took a long time. So 2009 was the first version of the script. We began rolling camera in 2016. So just the development of the project itself took a long time. And then we were able to, well, we had a very unusual experience that Rachelle was very much a part of, which was we shot over 2 years. And that was something that, independent filmmaking is challenging. Any kind of filmmaking is challenging. And we had our fair share. And basically over that first summer, we just recognized that we weren't going to be able to finish and be able to do it in the way that we had hoped. So we took a pause, we put the brakes on production, and I spent that next year looking at everything, refining everything, asking my peers, my filmmaking peers, hey, what do you think? Do we have something here? Are we ready to continue to move forward? And everybody was a rousing yes. The cast was behind it, the crew, the folks that were attached to the project in other ways. And they really celebrated and supported me to getting it off the ground for that second year of production. And we finished it out with another 2.5 weeks, basically a year from the first day that we shot. So we shot this film over 2 summers, completed production in 2017. It took about a year to do post-production. And then we spent a year on the film festival circuit. So it's been a really involved, sort of unfolding process that's taken a huge chunk of time. And now here we are, 2020, and it's finally getting out to, a mainstream audience.
But that's so cool that everybody was still on board, and
Yeah.
that love of the, wanting to finish the product and getting it out there was
Absolutely.
there.
It was heartbreaking to make that call to say, we've got to stop production, because there was a huge possibility that I couldn't have gotten it back up, right? I mean, I think that many films suffer that fate, and it's just hard to get something off the ground. But there were so many people that believed in me, that believed in this story. And frankly, I needed to complete it, not only for myself, but for, I called it my goth kids, like all the actors, right? I needed to finish it for them. And so that was a huge part of my driving force, to just continue to work on it and find the way. And we got there.
And that's one of the great things about what we do as artists. We find a way. We make it happen. One way or the other, it's going to happen. Now, with that said, My Summer as a Goth was filmed over 2 summers, like you were saying. But another interesting fact was, during the second year of filming, the Me Too movement happened.
Yes. Yeah.
And how did that exactly impact the story, the current storyline?
I think that it really had a huge impact for me, where, the bulk of my career has been in a position of uplifting women into the director's chair. I also produce. And so this is something that's incredibly important to me, as equity in the industry. And Me Too really exploded right when we were starting our post-production run. So I was with the editor quite a bit. All of this was breaking news and happening. And it made me take a moment and look at some of the things in the script more critically that needed to be adjusted for this new moment that we are in now. We're still in it, very much so, as creators, and something that should be aware of. But like, the things shifted, and certain parts in our film didn't land right anymore because of what was happening in our world in regards to Me Too. And so as the director, I had to really think about that, and think about what was important to say, we need to keep this to drive the story forward, but also in terms of like how successful this film will be for audiences, we need to make those adjustments. So we tested that. Like, we hit a kind of our loose cut at around maybe a month or so into editing, and we brought it forward to many of my peers, filmmakers that are here in Portland, that have delivered feature narratives, that have gone through this process, people that I respect. And I put it up in front of them and said, come on, bring it on. Like, I want to hear all your feedback. And there were some moments that were challenging for that particular audience. And my editor and I spent a lot of time talking through everything, trying various cuts, making decisions to, put some stuff on the cutting room floor. And it changed it. I mean, Rachelle knows what is probably come out because she read the original script. But, that's the thing about filmmaking, and that's really fascinating, and something that I learned so much through this process was, you start with this script and it's one thing in your mind, and then you move to casting and things shift, because you start working with actors. The entire vision you had shifts a bit, because now these characters have come alive. And then you go into production, you have to make compromises, because maybe that one location that was it for you isn't available, and you have to adjust. So then in production, you kind of remake the movie a little bit. And then post-production is a huge part of remaking that movie. And then you get into distribution like we are now, and it's like it adjusts again. So I always equate it to a paper mache balloon. So you've got your balloon, and that's your script, and then you add all these layers over the years, and it forms into this kind of new thing, and you pop the balloon. But the essence is still there, what the original structure was, but things have transformed. that was really like a cool thing to live through, not only in those early days before we even got to production, but now where it's really become something so different. And now it's going to be out there to the world, and people are going to receive it how they receive it, good, bad, who knows, So it'll be interesting to see how it transforms yet again.
Well, it's right on time, and it obviously you are obviously already ahead of the game, just because you are aware of the films, like you mentioned, the John Hughes films, and how those things couldn't fly today. So you are already on top of that anyway. Before
Absolutely.
OMG, what did you do to your hair?
I met a boy.
Okay, obviously I need the Lydia deets.
What?
Who is he? I mean, he has to be a good kisser to make your hair change color like that.
You are really out of control, you know that? I miss you.
I'm only 45 minutes away. I should just come over.
I would love that. You can meet Victor.
Ooh, he sounds like trouble.
I think he might be. We spent the night together in a tomb.
Okay, that is totally creepy, and I'm totally there.
Okay, sweet. See you soon.
I'll check with my parentals, and I'll get back to you. Later, Lydia.
What is he doing? OMG, it totally feels like we're detectives right now. Focus. He's smoking. Ew. You fell for a smoker? That doesn't seem like you. I wouldn't say that I'd fallen for him exactly. You're stalking him with your best friend. You are so totally sprung. Here, let me look at him. He's so goth. I don't trust the look of him, Joey. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Was ready for a little fun in the forest?
How all the good horror films start. It's him. He knows we're watching him.
Girls, we're loading the car.
Have you ever done it in the woods?
Girls, I can hear everything you're saying.
Okay.
Even with the changes from the script, like you were saying, I did see earlier drafts, and then of course that shifted. First year of filming was slightly different too, and then I remember even on set, because you were very empowering with us young girls. Like you were talking to us about our power. Even one of the scenes that I remember when we were choreographing a kissing scene, you and I were discussing Molly's power. I think that that was something amazing, was for us girls on set to have a female director who was guiding us through that when all this news in the world was happening. And it really helped us, and it really helped form our young minds to, these ideas and how the world should be. And
right.
It was a very empowering experience, and it was amazing seeing the shift. And I remember like the first screening that we as the cast had, the private cast and screening at your house, we saw different cuts than what happened a year later when we saw it with our families. It was
right.
But I've loved seeing the shifts, and I've loved that, we had a female director, we had mostly female crew, we had strong female characters in the film. It just was a very empowering experience for us young women on set.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that, because I was also very conscious of that. I was working with a bunch of teenagers, right? Young people that were dealing with subject matter that was relevant to themselves, but also like could be new to them. Intimacy scenes in particular, even though I'm working with seasoned actors, right? Rachelle's been acting since she was little, like same with Natalie. These were new moments for them as people too. And so I wanted to be conscious and make sure that I was creating an environment that was supportive and empowering, because that's what I believe in. That's the tone that I wanted to set on my set in terms of production, and same with post-production, all through all phases. So I appreciate you saying that, Rachelle, because I was very protective.
Yes, you were.
I would say. I was
my
very
God.
protective. Yes. I was like, always text me when you go home, like when you get home, like if we had a night shoot or something, I was like, I need to know that you got home safely. So
You were always protective of your kids on set.
Yeah.
And it was such a loving, great environment, and so grateful that we had you as the director guiding us.
Thank you.
As for the film, wardrobe and makeup are just fantastic. Just
Thank you.
no words. And this film has so many different costumes, props, sets. How did you and your team work to bring authenticity to the film? Did you have like goth mentors that influenced the style?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that, we pulled a lot from a pretty big costume collection that I have, and our head of wardrobe, Heather, she was so good at finding wardrobe. Some of it is hers, and she was the same size as some of our actors. And so it was, she would pull from her own personal collection to create Joey's outfits and Pandora. So, there's some really fun stuff that are, personal pieces from the crew. And we borrowed a lot from people that we know, because independent filmmaking, there wasn't a huge budget, right? And Heather was incredibly resourceful in terms of putting together some really fantastic outfits that were really reflective of our characters. Also, you mentioned, goth consultants. Absolutely. Jillian Venters, who has a blog called Gothic Charm School, came onto this project pretty early on. She wrote this book, Gothic Charm School, and it's everything you want to know about goths. It's sort of like a guide to questions that maybe parents have if their kids are wanting to, present as goth and want to be in the goth community. And sort of like, I call her the Dear Abby to the goths as well. Like she really answers a lot of questions for young kids that are like, I want to wear black and I'm super happy, but my parents don't understand me. So she's really there to impart a lot of information. And we connected with her, I think probably in 2011, and asked her to be a part of the project as our consultant. And she just jumped on and has been a huge support throughout the years. She came down and spent a day with our cast, and that was exciting because there were just a lot of questions that she was able to answer in terms of the goth community and music and wardrobe and, just so many things that our cast had questions for. Not only, the folks that were playing a goth character, but people that surrounded them. So it was really great to have her be part of the project. And then she was able to come down to do a cameo in the film. So she has a really great cameo, and it's very un-Jillian-like, but she's there.
Now, My Summer's a Goth has some amazing movie influences and nods to classic moments in cinema, everything from John Hughes films like Pretty in Pink to My Fair Lady to even Beetlejuice. And I know that one scene was cut, like the earring scene I had, the earring scene from Breakfast Club, that one was cut. But can you share with us how you chose those films as inspirations and how they stylized the film?
Sure. Well, I think that because of the time I grew up, those films were very much a part of my life. Also being a cinephile, and, I went to film school and being exposed to a lot of different cinema over the years. I would also put Harold and Maude in there as a big influence in terms of the tone of the film and the crafting of Feyre's character, the Grandma Margaret, Mimi. And there was also the color palette that we wanted to use, that there was this vibrant side. When we first meet Joey, it's very subtle, like it's kind of drab, like the color is muted and washed out. But as we progress in the story and she is entering this new place in her life, it becomes more saturated and vibrant. And, there's a lot of black in this film because a lot of the characters are wearing black, but they're also in these very vibrant atmospheres. Like they're at an amusement park, the grandparents' house is super colorful. Wanted to make sure that, we were authentic to those characters, the grandparents. I have a friend that's a quilter, and we brought in a lot of quilts that they had made over the years, and that added like a really cool tone to it. And so I think that, we pulled from a lot of different movies over the years, and you could see influences from them in various parts of the film.
That's cool to be able to pull from films that you grew up with, if you want to call it paying homage to it, just being a part of adding on to that cult status of those type of films and experience, the human experience growing up. It's very important. I was curious, so were there any moments in the film that were actual experiences that represent you and Brandon's real life experience? And also, are there any characters directly based on the people that you grew up with?
There's definitely elements of folks that we grew up with, infused into a lot of the different characters in the film. We were pretty tight with a lot of our friends from high school, regardless of who they hung out with, right? I was a theater kid and hung out with a lot of like these, the weirdos and, but we also hung out with a lot of the popular kids, the folks that were in student government or cheerleaders or, so there is a mix of people, certainly, that a blend as far as characters go on screen that were in our lives.
Representation really matters, and that's important that, when you see a film, I would say a film like this, you see you or a representation of you, and that's important for people to be able to grab onto.
That's my hope.
And the soundtrack in My Summer as a Goth is hauntingly beautiful. It's really so powerful. How did you choose the band that performs in the movie? And what was the collaboration process with composer Jana Cushman?
Yeah, so that was really great and just something that came to be. It was really exciting. So we were looking for a goth band to perform in the Club Medusa scene. And I reached out to a friend of mine that I know books clubs here in Portland. And he said, hey, well, I am actually managing this one band that I think you might be interested in. And Jana and I spoke and they were like, sure, let's do it. So they and their DJ came and performed in the Club Medusa scene. And it was so much fun. I think that was one of the most fun scenes because we filmed it at like 6 a.m. It was ridiculous. And, it was supposed to be this, late at night club scene. And so, kind of putting them through the ringer of like, okay, do it again. It was the first time they'd been on set. And then we started talking shortly after, in that break time that we had between production. Jana came forward and said, hey, I would really love to be a part of this film more. And because I really loved their music already and wanted to use it in the film, and they agreed to that. And they said, can I help you sculpt other, tracks that we could put in here? And I was like, yes, I want to be connected to other local bands, other up and coming bands, current like goth and dark wave bands. There were a few people that we had already been working with over the years that, would continue to jump on board to be part of the movie. And then there were certain moments where I needed music that wasn't goth. And Jana, because of where they work and at a club, they're just aware of a scene here in Portland. And so we were able to get other music that we needed. There's a scene that Rachelle is in where I really wanted like a hip hop vibe to it. And so, we connected to a hip hop artist here in Portland. And so those were things that was tremendously helpful to me, not having that knowledge. And then for them to have that connection and bring it forward to help create this soundtrack. And then I proposed and, we talked about them coming forward and doing the original score. And I was so excited about that because that added this really cool layer to the film that I wouldn't say it was unexpected, but it was very needed. And I needed someone that loved the story, that was an accomplished musician, that could understand the vibe I was going for. There were certain people in post-production that I really just vibed with, right? My editor and I, it was almost like reading each other's mind. And same thing with Jana. So they crafted this amazing score, and we'd go back and forth on lots of things. And there's one piece that we continue to build on over the course of the movie, and it's called Butterflies. And it's really like Joey and Victor's song. And that evolves over time. And then also it sort of shifts, and you hear elements of it as we get later in the film when things have changed. So I really appreciated Jana like understanding that, not, you know, like we talked about color and how things like the continuity of a structure of a film, and to have that in your score and your soundtrack, it just adds this incredible layer to the completion of the film. They were really great in terms of like helping with those relationships with the other musicians. We put together a soundtrack that you can get off of Bandcamp now, and you can discover those other artists. Like they have tons of music out there, and I think I really love it. And Jana won Best Score at the DTLA Film Festival.
Nice.
That was one of our last film festivals at the tail end of 2019, and very accomplished. And now they are at the Berklee School of Music doing,
Nice.
taking a degree in film score and composition. So really excited about that.
The music is such a large part of the film, and it really does tie everything together. The score is gorgeous. Everyone go check it out on Bandcamp, and also when you see the movie.
There are certain songs that you'll only see in the movie because we couldn't secure them for the soundtrack.
This is the Lightning Hour with Rico, Sasha, and Rachelle, and we're here today with Tara Johnson Medinger, writer, director, and producer of My Summer as a Goth. After this clip, we will be joined by Natalie Shershow, Carter Allen, Jenny White, Eduardo Reyes, and you already know our host, cast member, and dear friend, Rachelle Henry. They are the cast of the award-winning coming-of-age rom-com My Summer as a Goth, available on streaming platforms in the US and across the world. Let's take a look at a scene from the movie.
Pan, Cobb, emergency makeover. Back off, bitch. Eliza Doolittle's mine. You'll be a new woman once I'm done with you.
She gets really moved by makeovers.
Just one last thing.
Okay.
Would you look at this pair of wobs?
What?
Wears black, like you now. Black's a great color on you ladies, very slimming.
What the hell? Okay.
How's our girl?
We went shopping.
This is no time for small talk. Your whole life is about to change.
Thank you.
Should we be worried?
They're teenagers. Yes.
I love it. So thank you all so much for joining us on the Lightning Hour. We're about to talk with everyone about My Summer as a Goth. So welcome, my fellow baby bats.
Let's introduce you all to our audience. Welcome again to director Tara Johnson Medinger and actors Natalie Shershow, Carter Allen, Jenny White, and Rachelle Henry. The show is really good because it's real and raw in its depiction of how life can potentially be during this time for a teenager. And of course, it varies. But what makes the show work well is that we see different personalities at work here. So I'd like to know, please describe your characters and how each of you made your characters real and relatable. What was the process? Let's start with Natalie. Let's start with you.
Yeah, sure. So I played Joey Javits, and she is very similar to the way that I was when I was a teenager. She's very excited to sort of deviate from the norm a little bit. She likes trying on different personalities and seeing which one really works for her, as I think a lot of us experimented with at that age. And in this film, we follow this journey where she's a bit lost and doesn't really know what to do with herself, and gets really found in this entirely different life that she never really thought that she would be part of.
Cool. Carter.
All right, so I played the character of Cobb.
and this was fun for me, especially because it wasn't a far step away from who I really am. But yeah, it's so weird. It's like 4 years ago now. It's so long ago. Wait, yeah, even longer. I don't know. But Cobb, he is just a goofball who fell in love with Jenny's character and just practically would do anything and everything to be in her life. And since somewhat goth for her, and to the extent that he was accepted, and yeah, as long as she was happy, he was happy. And he's just got some quirky little that I guess you'll see when you watch the movie, and a lot of it is sometimes just me, and I'm perfect. It was a blast playing the character.
Jenny, go ahead.
I played the character Pen, and she is Cobb's girlfriend, and she's elegant, she's sophisticated, she's totally confident in herself and her own sense of style, like at all times. She's a little needy as well, and is not afraid to say what she wants, and she expects to get it. But I think she's also very, like, she loves French culture, and she likes to bake, and she's artistic and creative, and those are all things that I actually was interested in. I'm a French minor now in college, so I spoke French in high school as well, so it was kind of a good time for me to sort of bring out that, like, learning experience into my character. And she was very fun to play. I feel like she unlocked a whole side of me that I didn't even know that I had. So.
Awesome. Rachelle, talk to us. Who are you?
I play Molly. She is Joey's childhood best friend. They have been friends since, I think, in the original character bio read, since 2nd grade. And Molly is such a loving, protective best friend. She will do anything to protect those she loves. She's always looking to try, go on different adventures and to try out different things. She's very sure of herself, though. When she sees that her best friend's in trouble or something is not going quite right, she will let her friend know, and she will be that protective best friend who will always have your back. So I've always loved playing Molly, and so yeah, I'm very excited.
Wonderful. My Summer as a Goth started as an independent feature film, played the festival circuit, received multiple awards and nominations, and now has distribution and is available on multiple streaming services in the US and internationally. So congratulations to the production and to director Tara Johnson Medinger and your work as an ensemble. So here is my question. Did you all have fun working with each other on set? And what was each of your favorite scene or scenes to film?
I mean, everyone was just a nightmare. Everyone, as you can see, just personality is difficult.
It happened.
I mean, our crew was genuinely like a well-oiled machine. Everyone was so supportive, and everyone wanted to see each other succeeding. It was such a special environment. And I always struggle with the question of what my favorite scene to film was, because I can't pick one. There, literally every single day on set was one of the best days of my entire life. So I really can't pick one.
All right. How about you, Jenny?
Okay, I agree with everything that Natalie just said. I really feel like our crew was amazing, and it made everything else on set go smoothly. And so we just were able to have a lot of fun because we were all professional and all showing up and just ready and excited to be there. So that was definitely, I think, an awesome part of filming. But in terms of my favorite scene, I think all of them were fun for all their different reasons, and I have stories to tell from every day. But I think the first day on set was probably my favorite. It's my favorite story to tell, because Carter and I originally are supposed to we have this makeout scene, and originally I was supposed to eat food, and then he kisses me not knowing I'd eaten food, and I'm supposed to delicately spit it out into my hand and then resume making out with him, because that's just the kind of couple we were. And that was the first scene that we shot together, and we barely knew each other at that point because it was just the beginning. And it just, I think I ended up just putting food in his mouth, and it was very messy and weird and gross. And it was just fun because like it was just fun to film, and it was weird and it was goofy, and we just were laughing about it the whole time of like, what are we doing? But it worked. So
I just watched the outtakes of that particular moment, Jenny, and they will be on some sort of behind the scenes reel.
Oh god. Oh man.
What about you, Carter? Is that your favorite scene as well?
It was definitely interesting, and really I remember going home from that first day and talking to my parents and being like, well, this happened. Every day was a blast, like Natalie said. But I think the graveyard was the most fun for me to film. It was just all of us being goofy, and Penny's character always kind of, Penn always kind of helps Cobb with whatever, and is always giving him little tips, and like it might not be seen, but she is, and it's just like, you know, fun, because I know, like, I remember like on that, just little suggestions like that would be offset or off camera that still but like Natalie said, every day was just amazing, and I'm so lucky and so blessed to be a part of this film.
How about you, Rachelle?
I agree. I mean, the cast and crew were amazing. We really were this family unit. We really were working together, and it was always a great day on set, seeing everyone and just catching up. Like if you hadn't been on set for a day, coming back, and the story was so good that it always made it fun. You always knew it was happening. It was always like, oh my gosh, you just shot that scene. That's so exciting. I think my favorite scene to film was probably the campfire scene where the grandparents are telling their spooky stories. Also earlier in the scene, we have a water balloon fight, and that's where you first hear about Club Medusa. And I think that was one of my most favorite scenes to shoot. It was such a great environment, and it was fun us being in this camping environment. It was so many different worlds coming together, because you had the grandparents, you had the Goths, you have Molly. It was such a fun little environment. I had such a fun time that day.
I have so many, and they're just because of different things that happened. I like some of these bigger scenes where a lot of cast was there, like the scene that Rachelle was talking about, our camping scene. There just was a lot of actors there to move around in a space. So as a director, it was just challenging to kind of think about how spatially everybody was interacting with each other. We had 2 cameras that particular day, as well as our anniversary party, which was another large scene with a lot of actors plus extras. So just making sure that everybody properly moved around space. It was a huge challenge as a director to kind of figure that out and make sure it was going to come together in the edit. Eye lines, all these things, these technical things that you have to think about, as well as the like emotion that's happening on screen with your actors. I also love the scene between Natalie and Jack that we were filming. It was towards one of our last days, and it's an iconic shot where they're backlit and against the tomb. And Natalie and Jack were actually lighting that themselves in our wide shot. They both had flashlights, and they were supposed to be spinning around in the graveyard, which was completely dark, just with their flashlights, and come together and like have them point the flashlights pointed towards the tomb so it would light up the tomb and backlight them. And it was so hard to get all that choreography. They were getting dizzy. Their makeup was completely messed up, even though you can't see that on screen. But it was, I think we're at take 7, and my audio person said, listen, I've got the audio. It's good if you want to just direct them through it. And I was like, let's just do it once more. Because we kept getting off with the light, and they hit it, and it was amazing. And I don't know, Natalie, if you remember, I'm sure you remember that scene, but
honestly, I really do have to give the credit to Jack. I am 100% sure that my flashlight went nowhere near where it was. That was 100%. It was such a good feeling, though. It was insane.
Yeah. I remember just like grabbing the monitor and being like, oh, they did it. It was a huge moment, technical feat, all of it, everything coming together, magic of filmmaking.
Because this is a coming of age story about summer love, each of us had multiple kissing romance type of scenes. So what did each of you do to prepare to bring that intimacy and that chemistry to real life?
Jack and I definitely had a lot of conversations about this going into filming and before we got on camera with all of that, because quite obviously it's a love story, and their love story is one of the most, what's the word for having a lot of kisses within 2 hours? That's the word I'm looking for. So we definitely were going to get very close in front of the camera, so we thought we should definitely get close behind the camera too.
What about you, Carter?
So, actually, yeah, I'm assuming you probably remember that, and you, Rachelle, and Connor, we all took a class together, and to help get to know each other before we started shooting, and that did help, because it got all of the goofiness and all of the silliness out of, like, at least for me, was a way for me to just through the goofiness and get tact with the character and realize how deeply in love this character was. He would do anything for her, and so it did take a little bit to get there, but we went for it, and we were both great sports about it, and it was just great to work with. So
all right, 1 second, we have Eduardo coming in, so I'm gonna let him in right now.
I love it. That's his little picture. That's so
be a selfie.
Hey, how's it going? Where is?
Hey.
Oh, there you go. Hey,
Eduardo.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
How's it going?
You missed your call time.
I know. I was with some clients and I was rushing. I'm at my office right now.
Welcome.
This is my co-host Rico, my co-host Sasha.
Hi. Hi,
Eduardo. He plays
Nice to meet
Antonio
you.
the Punk. So how about you tell us about your character, and also how about you tell us about one of your favorite scenes that you've shot?
Okay, yeah. So my name is Eduardo Reyes, and I play Antonio in the movie. And one of my favorite scenes, it's actually the fight scene that we do in the cemetery. I'm super proud of that moment, and I feel like that was one of the best scenes my character had, aside from at the very end with Natalie. But that I'm never going to forget that scene. I think I'm going to carry it with me until I pass away, because it was one of my favorite all-time scenes that I ever did.
It was an awesome scene, and it was cool seeing it come together, like especially seeing in the editing how all those different scenes came about, because it was such a big moment in the film too. So
I really enjoyed it.
yeah. All right, so how about we jump back to the question we were at? We're talking about those kissing scenes. So how about Jenny, you tell us a little bit more about the Penn and Cobb relationship?
Yeah, I think with Carter, so going into auditions, I was already cast, and Carter came in and he was auditioning for Cobb, and I ended up reading with him. And I think right away there was like something about the way we were each doing those characters just worked well together, and we're both kind of short, so it just was like, I don't know, it just kind of, we had chemistry right away, I think. And I remember Tara and Brandon saying like, oh, you guys were great together. So we went with that. And then like Carter was saying, we did do like a little class with Connor and Rachelle as well, to sort of get out the nerves and get to know each other a little bit in sort of an environment where we all, because I was 15 when I was cast. I was pretty young, so it was nice to like get it out of the way and get to know each other. And but I think, right, like Carter was saying, it went smoothly. We totally jumped in and had fun with it and got out the goofiness, as he said. But it really did develop like a depth of our romance is meant to be like, we're in it forever. We're basically married at that point. So I think we got that relationship down pretty quickly, and we're great friends. So it worked out.
Awesome.
I remember at one point, I think it was with you and Natalie, with you and Jack, where I was like, and that's a wrap on kissing. Like, it just was like, I finished it. Like, because, I mean, you see the kisses on screen, but there were multiple takes of those. And, with wearing makeup, especially goth makeup with black lipstick, there was a lot of resetting and, redoing. So it took a lot of time to get to those, like, the best shots, I would say.
Eduardo, you had a kissing scene in Club Medusa, right? So tell us some about how you had to bring that part to it. You didn't have the same like couple relationship that the rest of us did, but can you tell us a little bit about shooting that scene?
Yeah, so that scene wasn't, I mean, obviously it's just some random, you know me. I'm just kidding. No, it was just some random. So there wasn't, too much like effort or embarrassment, I feel like. Obviously it was the opposite sex. So it was a little weird, like doing that on film. But I just went with it. It was part of the character. So I had no issue, honestly.
How about you, Rachelle?
Yeah, so my character Molly, she ends up falling for a boy named Iggy at Club Medusa. My scene partner Connor Mull and I, we had played boyfriend and girlfriend in a few films before. So for that, it was kind of easy because we already know the working relationship of doing those scenes. But like Carter and Jenny were saying, our acting coach, Katie O'Grady, she let us come in and do a class. It was a very small, intimate, just the four of us working with our scene partners, because we really did need to develop that relationship, especially because, we do see these relationships over a period of time, because at the end you do see Molly and Iggy, and they've been together for a little while. So the jump in time, developing those relationships. So that was very helpful, working on even like how to kiss in front of a camera, different camera angles, as well as building the connection. So that was helpful. It's just a part of the job. If you're supposed to run on screen, it's just like that. You do the motion. It's a part of that. It was fun to film. And it also, what was interesting about it is Iggy doesn't wear black lipstick, but he wears white face paint. So between takes, it would end up that I would have white all over here and he would have no white right here. So we had to always reset the white face paint. I remember one time filming outside of Club Medusa, I turned around and somebody held up a light and yelled. They're like, ah! Because my face was like half white. It just was such a bizarre look. And Tara, even in guiding that, she gave, she had Iggy and Molly's song be Why Can't I Be You by The Cure. So we listened to the song and we discussed it, and we discussed why that's their song for their relationship and building that, what their relationship is like. We determined that they call each other on the phone all the time, and that they're that kind of couple. So
what are some funny moments that you all had on set? Eduardo, let's start with you.
So it actually happened towards when we were filming the end of the movie. What was it? Whose house? Where everybody dances together. Tara.
Oh, at Anthony's house. Yeah.
Yeah.
The grandparents. Yeah.
There was a trampoline there, and we broke for lunch. And our main character, he obviously had a wig. And then he went to go do a backflip, and his wig flew off. Into nowhere as soon as he backflipped. I could not stop laughing. I actually had a video saved on my Snapchat, but I don't know what happened to it, and I was so sad because I've never laughed that hard in my life. It was so
funny. I want to see that. That's with Jack?
Yeah, Jack. Yeah, his wig just went flying, and I couldn't stop laughing. I don't know if anybody else remembers it, but
Carter, how about you?
Gosh, there were so many. It wasn't necessarily because of anything specifically funny. It was more of us laughing because we were all so extremely tired, and it was I think it was all of us. It was Natalie, Jenny, Eduardo in the car, and we were half asleep and laughing at anything and ready to shoot, not ready to shoot. It was just tired but ready for whatever came next. And I just remember being excited about that. To be able to have that experience of sitting in a car in the middle of the night waiting for the next take. So
I remember that, Carter. It was 3 a.m. We were all, I didn't even know what way was up anymore. It was so fun though.
Jenny, what was yours?
So mine also involves Jack, actually. So it was when we shot at Club Medusa. We were just I don't know if it was before or after, but at one point, I'm 4'11", so I'm really short, and Jack is really tall. And at one point, I don't know how or why this started happening, but I have a video of Jack with his his hand on my forehead. His arm is straight, so I'm here, and he's kind of holding me, and I'm trying to hit him, I'm like trying to reach for him and I can't reach for him because his arm is too long. So I'm just like running at him, but I can't. I'm just like this. And we're all in costume. So it's just really, really funny. And I just remember like we could not stop laughing. Yeah.
That's awesome. Rachelle.
What was funniest for me was actually the first day of school scene. What was funny about that is, so Molly and Joey are walking out of school and Antonio and Iggy pull up and I'm supposed to run over, kiss on Iggy, blah, blah, blah. We had multiple cameras everywhere and I was supposed to be getting on in the car, sit on Iggy's lap and continue making out with him. And so we're supposed to be driving around and Eduardo's driving and would slam hard on the brake when it would call cut. And so at one point I fell off of Connor and I was like, ah, and I looked up and and we were by an actual school. This old man was jogging beside the car and he looked over and he's like, because me with this goth boy, me completely normal as myself, and I'm sitting on his lap and I look up and I'm like, and this guy just gave me the most disapproving look ever. It was so funny. Another funny thing was the scene that Natalie and I have where we're spying on Victor. I don't know what Jack had in his pipe. It was not nicotine. It was not marijuana. Was it like tea?
It was some sort of, like an herb that wasn't like, altering. It was like cherry flavored something. Yeah.
And he kept choking and he could not smoke it. No. And Natalie and I were actually watching him out the window and we were like, oh my gosh, is he okay? He could not breathe.
Tara, how about you?
Oh, I loved everything, and we just had lots of great laughs all the time. I think that it was a little like at the time that scene that Carter was referring to in the cemetery, like it was a crazy night. It was like we just all were, out of our minds because we were so tired. But I remember when we were filming that the fight scene and our script supervisor, Jeff Stowell, was like, it's 20 minutes to sunup. And I was like, because the thing is like, there's that whole saying in filmmaking that you run out of light, right? But we were running out of darkness. And we had a lot still to do in that particular scene. And we ended up doing some pickups the next year, but it was super funny that like he was trying to like lighten the air, but also like really get a point across that we were not going to make it. So, but it was pretty funny. It just sort of rings in my ears. 20 minutes to sunup. Like, no.
That's great. Natalie, what do you got?
Oh, there were so many, as Carter said, just nights where the level of like exhaustion just made everything like so much more hilarious for no reason whatsoever. A lot of those nights happened in the cemetery, a lot of those long nights in the cemetery. I remember Jenny and I believe it was the first year when we were filming like the dance party in the cemetery. Jenny and I had to go to the bathroom so badly. And we were like about to shoot and we were in a rush and it was like pitch black, like fully pitch black. And we had to just like kind of meander our way through this like already sort of spooky setting. And all we had was like our flashlights on our phone. And we actually ended up seeing a black cat, which I can't remember, is that good luck or bad luck? I think we took it as bad luck in the moment.
Yeah, in the cemetery. We were like walking and we were already scared. And then we just like, there's this black cat in our path. And we're like, oh, what does that mean?
Cue the black cat. Right. What are each of you currently working on that you can share with our audience? Natalie.
So right now I'm working on a web series. It's called Never Have I Ever. It depicts an LGBT love story. And it's a project I'm really proud of. Right now we have 1 and 1.5 out of our episodes. We called it 1.5 because it's not exactly the kind of sequel that we wanted to put forward, but with the times being what they are, we did what we could. But pretty soon here, we're actually gonna get back into a social distance production. So look for that on YouTube.
Carter.
All right. So the last short film that I did was films that I'm still doing, finishing that up online because of COVID. And so I have 6 more months of that online. But I'm keeping myself busy with work. I've been doing freelance videos for local businesses here in the Portland and Vancouver area, but mostly music videos for local artists. I think I've done 10 to 15 in the last 6 months, and I've got that I need to edit. I have a lot to sit down and punch out, so expect probably one every starting in summer going through February. So yeah, got a lot of videos coming on the way, and just looking to build up a reel.
Awesome.
Cool. Rachelle, what are you doing?
I'm co-hosting and producing The Lightning Hour, one of my favorite projects. And
Rico and I are currently in a virtual play called Tough Trip Through Hell. I play Calamity Jane, and Rico plays a character named Ezekiel Pompey. Our characters are kind of like Batman and Robin, but it's 1866, Virginia City, Montana territory. We have been releasing a few of those episodes, and we have a few more to go. I also have a film called Martingale that'll be coming out, I think, in 2021. We still have to do some pickups. That has Young and the Restless star Kelly Sullivan. I play her daughter. And that one's going to be a great film. It's a revenge thriller. So I'm very excited about that.
Cool.
And I have a few more projects that are in the works and I'm working on, talking with people about. And I have a few things that are recently released. So go check out Woodstock Bus, which also has Eduardo in it. Oh, and I also have the film Wallflower. That one you can also go and stream now.
It's always great when you have so many things going on. You're like, wait, what am I? Oh, that one too. Yeah. Jenny, what do you got?
So I'm currently not pursuing acting, but I'm in college. I go to Loyola Marymount University. I'm a communication studies major with a French dance double minor. And I've been definitely having an increasing passion in fashion. I'm actually working for a designer brand in Beverly Hills, and looking to like style more in the future. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing right now.
That's really cool.
Awesome.
Tara, what are you doing right now?
Well, a lot of my life is very focused on getting this movie out the door. So that is front and center right now. But as a director, I do have a couple of projects coming up. I have a documentary that I'm prepping that is in the research phase and treatment phase, and we hope to get that into production probably by the end of this year or early next year. It really just depends on safety issues related to COVID. I am currently writing a new script, a feature script that I have wanted to do for many, many years, and finally got the story fleshed out and have been kind of chipping away at that storyline. It's another coming of age story, but it's more focused on that mid-20s of one's life. And so excited about that. It'll be the next feature film that I'm directing. I also work as a producer, and so I always have, various projects going. I'm attached to a feature film here in Portland for a local director, Don Jones Redstone, and we've shot a proof of concept and then hope to get the feature off the ground by next summer is the plan. So really love working with other women directors, and producing is a huge love of mine. Yes.
Awesome. Eduardo.
Yeah, so Woodstock Bus was a movie that I shot after my summer as a goth with Rachelle. And then 9 months ago, I did it's like an LGBT movie where I played a cellmate. I had like maybe 2-3 scenes. So that was fun. It's doing a film festival run right now. I did LA and then New York and then a couple other places. I haven't really been keeping up with it. And I'm also right now just pursuing a real estate career. So that's what's taking up most of my time. But acting is always going to be my number one, and I'm never going to stop pursuing that. But I'm just going to auditions there, like here and there whenever I get them. But I mean, I'm trying to do what I can in Portland.
We're here today with the director and cast of My Summer as a Goth. This is the Lightning Hour, and we'll be right back.
Aren't you gonna say trick or treat?
Bye, guys. Yes, I promise I'll text if we're gonna be out late.
You sure you want to take them camping?
At least I know they'll love your ghost stories.
Oh, oh God.
And now it's time for the lightning round, where we ask our guests the tough questions. Each of you will have your own question. So here's a question for you, Natalie. What was the flavor of ice cream that turned your tongue black in the movie, and what is your personal favorite flavor?
It was a 100% black licorice. It was the most opaque food I have ever tasted my entire life. It was awesome. And my personal favorite is Rocky Road.
Carter, if you had to choose motorcycle or horseback riding?
I'm super clumsy, so yeah, I feel like I just have a better chance going slower on a horse.
All right, Jenny, ice skating or roller skating?
Ice skating, for sure. I've always, I was a ballet dancer for 13 years with OBT, and I always wanted to be a figure skater, in another life, so ice skating.
Eduardo, you mentioned that you're a realtor, but if you could buy a house anywhere in the world, where would it be?
In LA. In LA for sure.
Think about that down.
You're gonna need a lot of money for that, Eduardo.
He's working on it.
Tara, treadmill or weights?
Oh, weights. Are you kidding me? I actually do CrossFit, so weights for sure.
Our guests today were director Tara Johnson Medinger and cast Natalie Shershow, Carter Allen, Jenny White, Eduardo Reyes, and Rachelle Henry of the award-winning coming-of-age rom-com My Summer as a Goth, all on streaming platforms including Amazon Prime, iTunes, Google Play, Fandango Now, and more. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us and for the fun conversation. This was awesome.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. This was the Lightning Hour, and I'm Rachelle Henry.
I am Rico E Anderson.
And I am Sasha Kerbel.
Don't forget to support us by giving this video a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click the little bell sign so you get notifications when we post new shows.
Follow us on social media to learn more about The Lightning Hour and the three of us, its hosts. You'll find the links as well as more information about our guests in the description below.
We encourage you to post your questions for us in the comments section, as well as on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We will be answering them in future episodes. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next Friday, same time, same place. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.